ahead. The first will be Adam Twardoch speaking about some new open type fonts.
Before he starts.
Before he starts, okay.
Please remember that you have your voting cards in your conference materials.
Oh, yeah.
And remember to cast your vote before you leave. We will put up a box for the votes. So your favorite lecturer will get a free access to the next conference. So come and see him. We have to wait. Yeah. But you have to watch it from this point of view.
Can we choose a position?
Sorry?
A może to coś na jakiej kierowniczna kropka cechował, czy była mowa wczoraj?
The musician, okay.
It's also a presentation.
So, welcome again. Before I start, I want to show, I just made I was trying to make a Latin modern variable font using some tools, and it kind of semi-worked. So this is Axis Praxis. This is actually, I recorded it, as you can see, not a long time ago. This little screen video. This is Axis Praxis. This is my dirty conversion of Latin modern into variable font. And you will see that when I'm changing the font size, the optical size masters between 5, 7, and so on, up to I think 12 points, they kick in. So they interpolate. There are some problems with certain glyphs not being perfectly compatible. This is basically, but it's effectively, it is possible to do.
It's doable.
It's very doable, and and there are open source tools that can be used, and I'm making sort of like some documentation about it, and actually Latin modern would be a nice example to show, you know, how this process can look like. But now I'm going to talk. Well, I gave a different title, but then I was looking for a name for my GitHub repository, which would include the fonts, open source fonts, that I consider good designs and are interesting and typographically valuable. And there was this British TV thing in the 80s called Top of the Pops, which was like charts, musical charts, so I called it Top of the Woffs, even though there aren't actually woffs there, there are OTFs and TTFs, but it's just a silly name. So this is the address. You can basically, it's there. You can get there. There's 2 zip files. One contains the fonts that aren't Noto, which I'll explain in a minute, and they're close to 100 megabytes. It's close to 800 fonts, and the others are the Noto fonts, which are more than 1,000 fonts and also close to 100 megabytes. And that altogether is about 2,000 very good open source fonts that I sort of all, you know, consider interesting in some way or another. So it's there. The sources are there. Basically, the collection is the ones that I, you know, it's this fully subjective choice that I've made. I try to pick fonts that are suitable for longer texts usually. There is a small selection of display and decorative fonts, and most fonts are licensed under the SIL Open Font License, which is an open source font license that is sort of copyleft. So basically, if you can use it for any purposes, commercial, non-commercial. You can embed them in documents, in applications, in create documents, printed physical objects, etc. You cannot sell the fonts themselves, but you can sell products that use the fonts. And if you make a derivative, if you reuse portions or change and publish these changes have to be under the OFL license as well. So it's the so-called infectious license. There are some fonts that are, well, the Ubuntu fonts that I've included there. They have their own license, Ubuntu font license, but that's the only one. And there's few that are under Apache 2, which is more liberal and allows sort of including the commercial, including the spin-offs or derivatives in closed source projects that can be published on a different license. So, but from the user perspective, it doesn't really matter. They're all kind of, you know, free to use and work pretty much everywhere. I'll start with Noto. Noto is a massive project, and it's just a mind-blowingly. It's the last few years basically changed the information, the digital repository of glyphs and computerized orthographies for pretty much all the scripts in the world are now there, and that's basically the Noto collection. It is huge. It's just and it's all free. It's basically paid by Google and designed in-house by Monotype, Adobe, and some other foundries. And it is just, well, I am doing some consulting for the Google Internationalization Group, but mostly because I was so enthusiastic about this project that they basically offered me a part-time job there, because it's just fantastic. It's great. So this is a little. I'm not going to show, because it's a collection of fonts in that are all sort of single fonts for different character sets for different scripts. So it's a very large collection of fonts, and it was done by Monotype primarily. So these are some videos that they've made, showing that effectively, you know, this multi-script, lots of writing systems that are supported. There is another spin-off, or a part of that project is called Noto Sans CJK and Noto Serif CJK. That is identical to Source Han Sans and Source Han Serif. These are fonts designed and developed at Adobe, and they're basically, I think they've been sort of in development, you could say, for about 20 years, because these are fonts that cover all the sort of four major or CJKV, as they say, Chinese, Korean, Japanese, and Vietnamese, traditional Vietnamese scripts. So variants of the kanji or Han for the, you know, simplified Chinese, being the one used in People's Republic of China, traditional Chinese used in Taiwan, Japanese, and also traditional Vietnamese and Korean. In both Sans, the Sans has been published about 3 years ago, and the Serif, the modulated stroke, has been published last month. And they basically, they kill all, or basically they hit all the limits that are possible to, what you can put into one single font file. So basically they're, you know, 65,535 glyphs, and lots of wizardry, and all the other Noto fonts are TTF, primarily, they're true type flavored. These ones, so Source Han Sans, Source Han Serif, aka Noto Sans or Noto Serif CJK, they're CFF flavored, they're made by Adobe, they're delivered as OTFs or OTCs, and there's tons of them, and there's tons of packaging. So basically there's one super OTC, which is I think 300 megabyte, and has all these variants in one. And it's just, so this is just little brief showings of the design process. There are sort of videos that the Adobe team has published, and you can use the different variants.
The
Chinese, Japanese, Korean, and this is a video that I just made from basically, this is just Noto Sans. Noto Sans, there is Noto Serif and Noto Sans. They all come in different weights, and they all come in different subsets for different writing systems. So this is just Noto Sans regular, but across all the scripts, this is the characters that support that is currently there, and all those have available sources that are interpolatable. All those are being built also as variable fonts, and all those, so basically there's this massive, and they're kind of, they're finally there. There's these free, quality, well-researched fonts for any writing system. So basically, if you ever need to typeset anything in any of the writing systems that you don't necessarily understand, the Noto families are a good bet.
You should explain the name.
Noto, oh yes, Noto comes from no tofu, because the tofu was a sort of, some people called the blank rectangles that showed up when a font isn't installed, but the Unicode characters were used, tofu. So the Google people, they wanted to sort of stop the tofu. So no more tofu, no more, have glyphs or fonts for all the characters of Unicode. It doesn't cover the entire Unicode yet, but a really fair section is already covered, and they're still working. They're spending a lot of money. It's a huge effort, and it's just fantastic.
I have some criticism. I noticed that the caron is not well designed.
Well, so there is a repo, there is a GitHub repository for the Noto fonts, and they are doing gradual revisions to all the fonts. So file bug, and it will be noted, and I think they will be correcting. I mean, they're collecting, and they will be correcting them in kind of batches, because of course it's a huge collection. So if they revise a particular font, they do it at some point, and then they do the others, and then they come back and do extra work on different ones. So yeah, of course, the Latin portion and the Latin portion, so to speak, of the Noto fonts, I would say is the least interesting, because for the Latin word, you have, like, all the other ones are mostly for Latin. These are mostly interesting for all the non-Latin, whether it's Arabic or any of the Indic scripts, or some historical scripts, or Chinese, Japanese, Korean.
What about symbols and math?
There are some symbols in math. There is one font that is being now worked on, which is Noto Sans Math. I don't think it's going to have a math table. I think it's just a collection of the glyphs.
So it's like an editor font for entries.
Sort of like that, yeah. When you have these Unicode characters appearing somewhere, it's they need a graphical representation, and so there is there. But I think that it's probably, I don't think right now they're targeting doing like an actual mathematical font from this. Also, that font is deliberately, it's kind of like Noto Sans Math, and of course, it's not, you wouldn't really use probably a sans serif font for mathematical typesetting. So that's a particular bit. But I want to show you more families that are of interest. The first, and I've tried to sort of pair them and group them in ways that make sense. So where certain fonts may be not the same family, but it makes sense to use them together. So the first is sort of PT Sans and PT Serif. It's an open source family developed by Paratype. It has a sort of versions called, this is PT Sans regular and italic, and this is the caption version. So it is optimized for smaller sizes, and the same is for PT Serif. There is the PT Serif regular and italic, and also the caption versions. Plus there's a PT serif bold and a PT mono, which isn't really very good. But they have very, very good support for Cyrillic. Especially they've done it as a Paratype did this work. They were sponsored by the Russian government to basically include all the characters for all the minority languages of the Russian Federation that use the Cyrillic script, and also they include the other Cyrillic using languages, even Kazakh, which of course will now switch to the Latin script, but if you have historical Kazakh text, they will continue to be probably using Cyrillic. And it's a good screen font. It really looks well on screen, on small sizes. I'm using the PT Sans caption on the Font Lab website. I like it. It's sort of like, has a similar flair to Verdana. It's just, you know, well designed for small sizes. So okay, so this is a quick sort of step through. This is the caption. This is the regular serif. So you will notice that, for instance, in the caption, you know, it's actually a slab serif, while the regular serif has sort of more is more like a traditional serif font with a kind of more flowy italic. So then we have, I think typographically or sort of design-wise, probably the best open source font family, kind of with a traditional flair. So it works well for, you know, for kind of literature or things that are more classic. And it's Alegria and Alegria Sans, and also Almendra, which was designed by a different designer, but kind of fits the same model. It has a similar rhythm, so it can be used together in a sort of giving a more historicized flair. So this is Alegria. These are the specimens that made by the authors. It's really great because it has these humanistic, warm, well, you know, lots of detail, lots of kind of friendly detail, not sort of technical, but more like very humanistic. So this is, yeah, Juan Pablo del Peral. Huerta Tipográfica is the foundry. So Alegria and Alegria Sans, which the Alegria Sans has multiple weights. And then Ana Sanfilippo did Almendra, which is kind of, it's not really here. It's not really, you know, the same design, and some of the fonts in this family only have like basic Latin, so they don't have a large character set. But it's a nice addition if you need something more historicized. And they also have this Almendra display is kind of like for huge sizes, kind of like a bit Fraktur, but not purely Fraktur. Then there is this super world of Garamons, which is now, there are two projects which are just mind-blowingly good. Basically Cormorant and EB Garamond. EB Garamond is an older project by Georg Daphner, and Cormorant and Eau de Garamond are by Christian Thalmann, I think. They're just fantastic. I'll show you more. Basically, this is the idea of optical scaling, right? So, optical scaling, you know, this is EB Garamond 8-point optimized. This is EB Garamond optimized for 12-point. And this is this Cormorant Garamond, which is designed as a sort of companion to a Garamond-like typeface, but for large sizes. And of course, the sort of the proper way of doing it, or using it, would be more like this. So you would really use the 8-point in small size, 12-point on medium text size, and the Cormorant on sort of large settings. And this kind of gives you, you know, a context. This is more or less how it would be used. And it has. They have the EB Garamond is really a really well done sort of classical reading typeface with, you know, a nice italic, very good Cyrillic, also great Greek, sort of very traditional Garamond style Greek with this sort of inverted contrast, much more calligraphic. And this is, yeah, this is just a step through. So there are small caps, of course. There's this the 8-point, the 12-point. There is a medium as well now in the works, and extra bold. I don't think it makes sense to have a Garamond extra bold. Oh well. Some people ask for it. And then there is this cormorant, which is really, it's just a fantastic design. Very kind of elegant, lots of, you know, nice open type features, and lots of sort of little quirks, two styles of Cyrillic, and forms that are kind of more or less similar to the Garamond model, and also, you know, lots of sort of playfulness, also unicase, and so this is, yeah, Christian Thalmann is the designer, and it's a massive project. So there is a, you know, a light, a regular, and they come sort of in slightly different styles. So this is the cormorant, and this is the cormorant Garamond, which uses the letter forms are modeled closer to Claude Garamond's original designs. And then there is like an infant, which is, you know, more like a sort of informal style, the unicase, small caps, and they're all accessible, these functionalities, through separate fonts or through open type features. Basically, each of these fonts has all this, and then there is a kind of upright regular, upright, kind of like a cursive upright, and of course an italic, in both variants, the sort of Garamond and the non-Garamond one, and there is a bold. And then there is Eau de Garamond, which is a work in progress, which is sort of like Christian's attempt to do a sans serif based on the Garamond model. Very, very well done already, very usable, even though it's kind of called all chest. But actually it's...
So, and what makes a font a Garamond?
Well, first of all, it's, of course, it's the proportion. So basically, you can look at two aspects. One is sort of the skeleton of each letter form and the proportions of that. So you can sort of abstract away the tool that was used to create the strokes, and you basically, if it was hand movements, if you would use a different tool, you know, a pen or a pointed, like a marker or something, but you would do the same movements, you would get the same skeleton with a different flesh, so to speak. So the Garamond model and the Renaissance model with a small X height, large extenders, ascenders, descenders, and sort of certain proportions between the letter forms, that is sort of the spirit. So basically, Claude Garamond's original punches are sort of like an inspiration. The E.V. Garamond follows it very closely, and now this Haut-Est or Eau de Garamond and Cormorant are more loosely based, sort of trying to expand the typographic palette in the same style, so they can be used together.
But this case is not half capital case.
No.
No, okay.
No, it's not half, but it's a small, it's comparably small.
Yeah.
And there is ITC Garamond, which is a large X.
Oh yes. Yes, well, ITC Garamond is kind of like ITC everything, which is like, it was done in the 70s in a very weird way. It's a nice design, but that doesn't have anything to do with Garamond's typeface.